This and We Didn't Start the Fire are the only two hit songs from him that I can't stand. Uh, Captain Jack, look at your high tonight.
Part of me died inside.
Uh, I I don't feel ashamed of repeating that. I think that song sucks.
Probably, man.
Welcome back, music fans, to Sound Lab Studios. Today we are going to be reviewing Billy Joel's second album, released in 1973, titled Piano Man.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight.
This was released, and here's the back there, kind of like a negative image. We'll talk more about the album cover later. What do you guys think about Piano Man?
Me personally, I think it's a step down from the debut album. If I'm being honest, I know what. I won't reveal, but I know one particular person will strongly disagree with me on that statement. But on a production level, it is better, but I just don't think the songs are quite on the level of the last album. If I'm being honest.
I totally agree with Nick. I think it was, yeah. I don't know why. I really like that first album, and this one, I wonder if Jacob thinks because I feel like it delved a lot into country or something in some songs, which really kind of surprised me. And I was like, "What is going on here?" Um, there's obviously one absolutely incredible song, one of the greatest songs I think ever written, and not much else.
All right. So I wasn't the biggest fan of Cold Spring Harbor. I thought that was a lackluster debut album. Yes, some well written songs, but production issues and vocal issues. That album's a mess. I thought this album was a big step up from Cold Spring Harbor. You got the one big song, which is arguably one of Billy Joel's best songs, but all of the other songs on this album, I was just sitting there. I was just so impressed by the production on this album. Him doing different types of genres, doing rock music, some more popular ballads, even threw in some country music in there. And I'm like, man, I didn't know Billy had that in him to do some country music. And I love that. So, yeah, I thought this was a big step up, the big defining breakout album from Billy Joel. And I thought it was excellent.
I really like this album. I think it's a pretty good follow up to the last album. I also really liked the debut. I think Jacob was the only one that didn't. I think it's really underrated. As to whether I like that album or this album better, I would like to save my thoughts for the end of the video with the ranking and the score. But I think that this definitely, you can see Billy Grohl. No, I'm thinking about Nirvana again. Billy Joel. You can see Billy Joel growing as a songwriter on this album, especially with the title track. And he also has some country infused songs on here, which I think are pretty cool as well. I'm definitely excited to talk about this one.
As for me, who was not on the first episode, um, so I'll give my brief thoughts on the debut because I do have a little, because I might as well say it here. I'll make it quick, but I like the debut. Obviously there's a lot of rough edges here and there, but I think the songs themselves, I think are really nice. There are a lot of really good piano playing on it still. And yeah, the vocals, I get the vocal critique, but I don't personally. The vocals didn't bother me that much. I think it still sounded fine. Um, Again, it's like a nice little primitive beginning for him. So going to this album, talking for Piano Man, I do think it is a little bit of a step up from the first album. Like Jacob said, the production's a lot better, a bit more consistent. And of course, there's one ginormous song on here that, of course, we're going to talk a lot about. But I don't think it's too much of a big leap because again, you have that one big song, and then you have the others, which there's some really good stuff in there, and some stuff that are just okay. So it's to me, it's more like a very slight step up, not a huge step up, but just a slight. But that's kind of my thing on it. I got some good things to say and stuff. I'll just be indifferent.
Okay, so now I'm going to go a little bit into our background information. Background information. Where we last left Billy Joel, he was on the run from his record label because he had gotten a really crappy deal with Family Productions, and Mr. Rip there had quite literally ripped him off, stolen all of his publishing rights, and totally screwed up the production of the record by making it too fast. So Billy Joel decided that he was, what's he gonna do? He's gonna run away, and that's the only way that he could find himself getting out of that deal. So Billy Joel was from New York. He's a big New Yorker. He even wrote a song about that. But since he was based out of New York, and I think the record company Family Productions was based in New York as well, Billy Joel decides that he's going to go to Los Angeles and kind of lay low for a while. And while Billy Joel was in Los Angeles, he decides that instead of trying to be a professional recording musician, that maybe he'd like to, just play small clubs and perform that way. That way, nobody will find out where he is. So he starts playing these small clubs under a stage name. I forget what his stage name was. But he comes up with the fake name, starts playing these small clubs, and he writes a song about his experience while he's playing these clubs called Piano Man, which is the title track to this album. And he starts doing some demos, and he decides, maybe I'd like to record another album. And he ends up scoring a record contract with Columbia Records to produce this new album that he's working on, Piano Man, which Columbia Records is one of the major record labels. I think that's really cool that he was able to get that. But about this time, right before it was released, guess who finds out? Family Productions, Billy Joel's old label. And because Mr. Rip was a ripoff, he was like, no, that's going to be a no-go. And he wanted to get the royalties for the album. So they had to settle that. And what they ended up deciding on is that Family Productions and Mr. Rip were going to get a portion of each of the album's record sales, for the revenue for that, as well as, even though he's on Columbia Records now, the Family Productions Romulus and Remus logo will appear on all future Billy Joel albums until, get this, 1989 is when the terms were discussed that this would go on until. So legit, that this is going to be on all of his albums up until his second to last album, which is really frustrating. Even after Family Productions was long out of business, this guy was still making money, and that logo was still appearing on Billy Joel's albums. So that's super frustrating. But at least Billy Joel was now on a major label, Columbia, and he didn't feel like he had to hide anymore. He ended up staying in LA for his next album, Street Life Serenade. But after that, he ended up moving back to New York, which the album after that, Turnstiles, talks a lot about him going back to New York. I'm excited, really excited to talk about that one because that one is super underrated and I love that one. But here we have Piano Man, which is a snapshot into Billy Joel's life as a bar performer. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our lovely album cover here. What do we think about Billy Joel's black and white face on a dark background.
I think the album cover is terrible, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, Phil Collins does a similar thing on some of his albums, I suppose, but yeah, it doesn't seem very creative. Probably the worst album cover.
Luckily, the songs on the album are excellent because if the songs match the album cover, we'd be in for a rough ride.
You can tell that Billy Joel is a young and up-and-coming artist because he must not have had much of a budget for this album cover. It's just Billy Joel's creepy-looking face. Hey, at least he shaved the mustache. I don't think the mustache worked for him. Could have Billy Joel playing piano in a bar.
Yes.
And each of the
Yes.
people in the bar represent one of the songs on the album.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
simple.
Eyes are just weird. I mean, there's like a weird yellowish orange tinge to it, which is just kind of off-putting. And even this expression just looks like he just really doesn't want to be doing this. Like, why am I here?
We're going to go ahead and start off with the first song on this album, Traveling Prayer.
So I gotta say, I'm gonna be honest. There's only really 5 songs on this album that I really enjoyed. This is one of the 5 I really enjoyed. I wasn't. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. When I first heard the song, I thought it was terrible. I'm like, what is this hillbilly like?
Hillbilly Joel.
I'm like, what is this? I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't like it at first, but it's one of the songs I grew on. So it's a fun song. I'll admit that. Personally, not one of my absolute favorites. I mean, of all time, Billy Joel. Like for the album, I really enjoy it, but like if I'm gonna go to a Billy Joel song, I'll be honest, this is not a go-to song for me. But when it does come on, I do enjoy it quite a bit.
I wasn't a fan of this song personally. Again, didn't really care for the intro, and then the banjo like kicks in, and it's like, what is this country western jamboree? Like, what the heck is this? It was fast paced, but it just was not interesting to me at all.
I did not know Billy Joel did a country song. As soon as I heard that banjo, I'm like, okay, we got a country music Billy Joel song. This is an awesome album opener. I love like the little drum intro at the beginning, and then Billy just jams the keys, and then he starts singing super fast because the story reflects this guy traveling. He's on the road, but he's praying for the woman that he's in love with to make it safely, and that he can make it so he can get back to her because he's traveling all the time. So I think the song fits the. I think the lyrics fit the fast-paced nature of the song. And I love the country instrumentation, the banjo mixed with Billy's piano playing. I thought this was a underrated deep cut from Billy Joel. It shows that he's very versatile. This might be the hot take of the night.
I remember the first time I listened to this album, and I'd already listened to The Stranger and maybe 52nd Street. And so I was like, let's listen to Piano Man, because that's the album that has Piano Man on it. I start the album, this comes on, and I go, did I start the right album? This is a country album. As soon as the piano came in, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this is Billy Joel. It's just him doing a country song. I didn't really like it the first time I heard it, but I gotta be honest, this song has grown on me a lot. I actually really like it, and I love how he's kind of just spitfiring the lyrics out there. And every time I play it on the album, I'm like, I forgot how nice this song is. It's pretty cool.
When you think Billy Joel, you really don't think country very much. So, yeah, I had a very similar reaction when I first heard this album. I mean, I think this is one of the earliest CDs I ever picked up from Billy Joel. It was kind of off-putting hearing this be the opening song, because yeah, it's a very country-laden track. There are some good things I do like about it. Like, I do like the bass playing on here. I think the bass is pretty good. And the piano, of course, sounds really nice. I think it complements the track fairly well. But, I'm definitely one of the people who is not the hugest country fan. Banjo's okay. And also that mouth harp thing, I thought that was mad corny. Like, every time I hear that, it's like, come on. Like, I will give you a fun fact. Apparently, Dolly Parton covered this song, and she even got nominated for a Grammy in 2001.
Track 2, we all know it, we all love it, hopefully. Piano Man.
I haven't heard of this one. I'm just going. Yeah, this song is very good, of course. Basically, as I was saying, his background info. This was like his his point of view of his life in LA and playing in a pub and all that. And yeah, this is very iconic because you hear so many other people's stories in it, like something about the Navy. Probably will be there for life. Bill, I believe this is killing me. As his smile ran away from his face. Oh, I want to be a movie star if I could get out of this place. Because it's sad because there's a lot of people who are like that, who want to be big, who like either it's music, movies, art, but like they're stuck in their 9 to 5 jobs, and it's very sad. It's true though. And the microphone sounds like a beer. They throw bread in my jar and said, "Man, what are you doing here?" Like what are you doing in this pub playing a piano? You should be having a record deal. Yeah, this song hits deep because everyone could be kind of be the piano man, where it's like where you're just kind of stuck in life and just it's one of the songs where it hits me. To me, this was a masterpiece. I can confidently say this is everyone's top 5 song on the album.
I remember hearing the song for the first time when I was probably a young teenager, and my dad introduced me. This was my introduction to Billy Joel. My dad was like, "Oh, you need to listen to Piano Man." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, what's Piano Man now?" And he played me the song, and I was blown away. First listen, I was like, "This is like one of the greatest songs I've ever heard in my life." Like, I was so impressed. And a lot of it's the lyrics. A lot of songs I listen to, I don't pay attention to the lyrics, to be honest. Jacob usually is the one who tells me that there's something in the lyrics, and I go, "Oh, I didn't remember that." I'm always like, "Oh, I love that song." And then Jacob's like, "Oh, it's about slavery." I'm like, "Oh, crap." Most of the song is just him telling the story about, yeah, being in this bar and him, being this great piano player that he should be more famous than he is, but he's just a piano player in a bar. I love the whole story part of it. As Nick was, saying some of the lyrics, of Davy still in the Navy, the waitress is practicing politics, the businessman getting stoned. We're all drinking a drink called loneliness, but it's better than drinking alone. I think one of the greatest lines I've ever heard. And I remember hearing those lines and going, "This guy is such a good songwriter." He sit at my bar and put bread in my jar. I love that. He could say put money in my tip jar, but instead of that, he says put bread in my jar. And I totally got it when I heard that song. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what a great line! I love that." Because he uses that money to buy food. He puts bread in my jar. I think that's why I take it as, anyways. And yeah, I think it's just one of the best written songs ever. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's by far my favorite Billy Joel song. I don't think that would ever change. It's just a masterpiece all around.
All right, Piano Man. Let me go grab the garbage can. It's all
No.
Oh, look, the camera fell. That's karma for saying that.
this was probably one of the first mainstream Billy Joel songs I ever heard. That wasn't the song he did in Oliver and Company. Pretty much everything Nick and Jason said, I agree with wholeheartedly. This is an amazing song. Probably one of his best written songs because it draws from what he was doing at the time. It's very singable chorus, and I love his piano playing. The solo he does in the middle of the song, even though I don't play piano anymore like I used to. Yeah, that solo is excellent. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're all gonna have this either at number one or at least in the top 5.
Amazing song. I love the intro, how you get that. It's like he's doing like a little. He's almost showing off, like a boom. He's like just showing what he can do with the piano, and then the harmonic comes in. Classic opening line. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. This is just painting a snapshot of his day-to-day life playing at the bar and all the people he sees who wish they could be somewhere else. And we've all talked about it, but I love that line. They're sharing a drink they call loneliness, but it's better than drinking alone. And then the part that everyone wants to sing along with: sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. One of the greatest moments I've ever experienced is the very first concert I went to see was Billy Joel in 2019.
Yeah.
And when he played Piano Man, everyone was singing along to it. And at
Mhm.
the very end of the song, he went la da la da da la da 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 boom 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 boom, and all the instruments stopped, and he stopped singing, and it was just the whole crowd singing, "Sing us a song, you're the piano man." And there was no instruments. No instruments, no Billy Joel singing. It was just the crowd, and he was like I don't know. It was like you could tell that this man has played this song thousands of times, and yet he still wasn't tired of playing it because he liked hearing the crowd sing it because he knew he made something special when he made it. That's how you know. That's how you know you made it.
I think I can safely say, and I'm pretty sure we can all agree, that this is his defining song.
Yeah.
Like when we think of Billy Joel, it's gonna be this one. The, the day he passes away, which hopefully is not for a long time, this will be the first song people will play because this song just
Yeah.
basically sums him up entirely. Because he's is the piano man. Of course, there are many piano singer songwriters before him, but he just has his own style, and this song pretty much sums up his unique style. Again, his piano playing is just really great, and just everything around it just works. The harmonica, like we mentioned, and even there's a little bit of accordion used as well, which was a nice touch. And yeah, and just the fact the storytelling, of course, like we all mentioned, is just one of his greatest. Of course, it all comes from real experience. And because he experienced a lot of this, he viewed all this, you can hear that sincerity in his voice. You can hear that longingness and that bit of melancholic feel to it. And it all just brings out this feeling out of you. Like Scott's mentioned in his story, how you can just play the song and you can just get everybody to sing. And that's just the power of this particular song. So of course it goes without saying it is a masterful song from him. I mean, I can literally just take everyone's thoughts, just copy paste, and literally nothing different from it because it is a classic song and it definitely has to be a big highlight on this album and just in its entire discography. So there you go, love it.
Our next song on the album. How did I forget what the next song was? Ain't No Crime.
I thought this song was just okay, especially after the masterpiece that was, of course, Piano Man. Uh, it's decent. I mean, I don't hate it at all. It's one of those songs where it's like, it's decent. I like it. There's good parts of it, but at the end of the day, I don't see myself really coming back to this at all.
Yeah, that's another song I really didn't care for on the album. It's funny, my favorite song is sandwiched by my two least favorite songs, to be honest, on the album. I thought these were the two weakest songs, Traveling Prayer and Ain't No Crime. I don't know. I didn't even think he sounded that good singing on it. It was just a nothing song to me.
So you're saying Billy Joel sounded better when his pitch was mixed incorrectly and he sounded like a chipmunk on some of these songs?
Who are you who are so wise in the ways of science?
I think this is a fun song. It's not my favorite on this album. It's probably my bottom two, if I'm being honest. But I still have a lot of fun listening to this one. You can tell Billy Joel's like having a ball singing along to this song. The piano playing rocks. Yep, definitely not like the strongest song on the album, but for what it is and where it is on the album, I still think it's a fun song.
This is definitely one of my least favorite songs on the album. I will say though, I kind of like the soul feel to it, especially with the backing vocals. They really kind of elevate this song. His voice on this song, and kind of on the whole album. There's some exceptions, but you can still tell he's trying to find his voice.
Yeah, I like it. It's there's some good moments, like we briefly mentioned. Like it had definitely has a very strong, soulful, very gospel influence, and I kind of like that. I thought the chorus was pretty good. It was kind of memorable. That's probably my favorite part of the song. And like the backing vocals on this one are pretty solid as well. And another pretty nice moment was that there was a guitar solo and a little bit of saxophone, which was kind of a nice touch. There's still some good things about it that I like, but at the end of the day, it's a decent song.
Okay, well, our next song is You're My Home.
Oh yeah, "You're My Home" I think is a much better song than the last one. To me, this has always been one of my favorite Billy Joel songs. To me, this is one of the dark horse songs on the album where no one talks about it. It's never played on the radio. You only know it unless if you don't know it unless you listen to the album, and it is really really good. It is a very beautiful song. I love the parts like "You're My Home." Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. It's such a nice song, and it's like, wow, this could have been a big hit for him, but it wasn't released as a single. Um, no one talks about it. To me, in my humble opinion, I think this is the best song on the album. This has always been my favorite song on the album.
Cool. Yeah, I thought this was a really good song. It's definitely one of my top songs on the album. Again, it's more what I like of Billy Joel. It's just a nice piano kind of ballad type song. I think he sounds great on it. The piano's great. And I think it's really good lyrically. I really like the lyrics. It's kind of a nice, sweet love song about, your significant other and being like, wherever you are, you're my, when I'm with you, I'm at home. I like that. It's really nice. I think the lyrics are something like, something about being on my own, and then when I'm you, I'm home. I don't know. I like how he rhymes those words, and uh, yeah, it's a really good song. It's one of my favorite.
All right, yeah, this is another one of my favorite songs on this album, and this one has another bit of a country tinge to it because besides him doing the piano playing, there's some steel guitar on this song, and I thought added a nice flavor to it. Man, if Billy Joel did a full blown country album, I would have been on board with it because of the two songs on this album that where he demonstrated that this and Traveling Prayer. This is a beautifully written ballad. I mean, as much as I love She's Got Away from the last album, the pitch issues in his voice was still kind of a distraction, even when listening to that album. It's great hearing a beautifully written love song from Billy Joel early in his career, pre, just the way you are. She's always a woman. Some of those songs, you see the expert songwriting, you see excellent production, and some lovely vocals as well. I think his voice is a big improvement overall on this album, and this is a song that definitely demonstrates the talent that he had all along. That where they screwed him over bad on the first album, this is the one where it's like, yep, he's good. He's really good.
This is the best John Denver song that is sung by Billy Joel. I love the kind of slightly country feel to this song. The lyrics are just fantastic. Home is wherever you are, pretty much. It's just my goodness. Beautiful song. It's one of my favorites here on the album.
Yeah, this is definitely a big highlight on the album. It's always been a highlight. Um, yeah, I like the acoustic guitar in the intro. Sounds really nice. And like once again, there's some really good bass playing on this track. Very strong stuff there. And Jacob mentioned the steel guitar, which I thought was a nice touch. And just the bridge section sounds really pretty. Just how the piano goes. There's like a big chime, a little bit of a chime to it, which I really like a lot. And yeah, it's just a nice love song. Of course, he wrote this for his wife at the time. It was actually a Valentine's Day present. Very fitting when we're recording
Fitting.
this. Um, but, but we all know the story. But besides that, it is a lovely, lovely song. And yeah, I got nothing else to add. It's an excellent track. Definitely a highlight.
Okay.
Sure, the marriage worked out.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, sure, totally.
Love you just
Uptown
the
Girl. The last song on the first side is going to be the ballad Billy the Kid.
Oh yeah, Ballad of Billy the Kid. I mean, this is a very very good Billy Joel song. This is actually one of the few like country sounding songs that actually I really really enjoyed. I like the beginning of it with the boom 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 boom. Yeah, it's like I thought this was a really underrated song. I feel like this is another song that should have been a bigger hit than it should have. But yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, here's another country song. I was like, what the heck is going on here? Billy Joel doing country on this album. Yeah, I was a little surprised here. It kind of reminds me of like the Eagles on Desperado. They did I think the Julian Daltons or something like that.
Yeah.
And dealing with the Dalton gang. This is dealing with Billy the Kid, another famous outlaw. So I kept feeling like, man, this would fit perfectly on Desperado album because I had a lot of country-ish style to it. Yeah, it was fine. Like, I'm not big on the country western style. I think there's too many times when it's just the piano playing and there's no singing. Like, it feels like there was a part in the middle or something like that where he just is playing the piano. It seems like a long song. If I remember right, it's like over 5 minutes long. So it's one of the longer songs, I think. And it felt a little too long to me. And I wish it wasn't so much just piano playing because I think the chorus was good and the melody overall was pretty good. There's some good stuff there. So it was fine. Like I thought it wasn't one of the best, but it wasn't bad.
This is another excellent Billy Joel song. I love the storytelling on here. It's Billy Joel writing his spin on the Billy the Kid legend. Very invested in the songwriting, the lyrics of it all. Great production, like the country western intro. I thought was awesome. Set the mood for the tone of the song, and then it becomes this great country rocker. This could have fit on Elton John's Tumbleweed Connection, and it would have helped improve that album. But I'm glad it's on this album because it shows that Billy Joel can do different styles, and he does it so well here again. This is another underrated Billy Joel song.
Billy Joel has always wanted to do a movie score, particularly a Western movie score. So even though he didn't get to, he thought, you know what, I'm going to write a song like I'm doing a movie Western score. And I don't know how, being a new artist, he got studio funding for a whole orchestra on this song, but thankfully he did because it's epic. It starts out with like that boom, 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 and then the piano comes in, and then he starts singing like in the town. No, it starts singing about Billy the Kid, and then you get all of this like epic like fake movie score that's like the bow bow bow. I love every time he does that with that on the piano bow bow bow. And then I also like the part that goes dun 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 dun. And then it the verses go through the story of Billy the Kid, and then you get the hanging of Billy the Kid. They catch him, he gets hung, and then my favorite part is actually the last verse because it goes and it's just him and the piano, and he sings about in a town known as I forget the name of the town, but it's like Long Island. There was a kid with a 6-pack in his hand, and his daring life of crime made him a legend in his time. The legend of Billy the Kid, and it's like that's him. That's Billy Joel. He put himself into the song at the end. So like Billy the Kid, Billy Joel in New York with a 6-pack of beer. I'm guessing is inspired by Billy the Kid, with his 6 gun, which is what he says in the first verse. I mean, Billy Joel has kind of tried to deny that it was him, but I know it's him because his name is Billy, and now he's Billy the Kid, and he's gonna go, ride around the town and roam around New York or whatever. But love this song, one of my favorites on the album.
Right. Yeah, this is obviously it's going to be a highlight for me as well. Yeah, the storytelling is another one of his great ones, especially this early on. And Scott already talking good detail of it. Of course, historically it is incredibly inaccurate, but that was the point. He was doing his own take on it. And yeah, and I think a lot of fans also agree that it is pretty much Billy singing about himself, kind of the situation he was in at the time. And I believe that as well. But musically, yeah, it's incredible. I love the strings on here. And yeah, the Western feel definitely works in the song's favor because it's about Billy the Kid. So of course it has to have Western. Like it'd be weird if it didn't. Um, the piano, of course, is great. I love it when it kicks in. The drumming is really great with the guitars as well. And I think this is another one of Billy's good vocals on the album. Definitely really paints the picture. Um, and has a good rhythm. I like the part where the horns and the strings and the piano are just trading off, going back and forth. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, it's definitely, especially for an earlier song, this definitely is a standout for sure.
Okay, side two is going to open up with Worst Comes to Worst.
I'm gonna be honest. I really did not like this song. I thought this was a lousy song. I think this is the worst song on the album, arguably one of his worst songs. Worst comes to worst. I don't know. Some I really don't like the sound of it. I really do not like the sound of this song. I'm sorry, Jacob, if you love this song, but to me, this was not a good one.
It was okay. My problem is the intro. I didn't think was very good, and I didn't like the sound of the guitar. The guitar on it had this really weird tone to it that I thought that was off putting.
The wah wah guitar pedal that you're thinking of.
But yeah, I'm just like, okay, not great, just in the middle for me.
I actually enjoyed the production of this song. Again, Billy Joel doing something different. This almost had more of a soulful funk type sound to it with the way the guitars sound. You hear that a lot in that genre, and yeah, I'm a sucker for that sound. I like listening to that style of music, particularly in the '70s with uh, some of those artists diving into funk and disco a little bit. So it's kind of cool that Joel did a song like that before I guess the genre got too mainstream, which was really cool. But yeah, I enjoyed the song. I thought it had a fun chorus. I love the production. The style production worked, and Billy Joel could do something in this style of genre. Like when we get to The Stranger, which I've heard that album, the title track is the closest thing Billy Joel got to a disco song. That song rocks. So this was kind of like the prototype of that.
How fitting. The worst song on the album has worst in the title twice.
Wow, I'm the
Uh,
minority on this song.
I've never liked this song. I mean, I like the guitar intro. I think the guitar intro is cool, but I just think the song is just musically uninteresting. It's kind of a mostly one note melody, and then the chorus is just worst comes to worst. Da 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 da. That's all the chorus is ba 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 da with different lyrics. Da 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 da. Used a lot better effect in the James Bond score.
All right, so I'm somewhere in the middle. I do like the song, but I definitely get the majority of the negative. Like I do get it, because it's definitely Billy Joel at his most one of his more funkier stuff, and I didn't mind it. Like, I do like a bit of funk, so I was kind of jiving to it quite a bit. And there's even a little bit of a Latin influence because you can definitely hear steel drums. It's somewhere in the middle. I like it, but it's not definitely not my favorite song on here, but still, it's all right.
All right, stop in Nevada.
This is of the songs on side one. I'm not side one. Side two. This is easily my favorite of that side, if I'm being honest. I forgot why I liked it. It's just one of those songs where it's just like, this is a really nice song. I feel like this song, if I remember correctly, it has like a John Denver feel to it that I really liked. But yeah, this to me, this was a highlight.
Yeah, again, I thought the song was okay. I like that it was softer. I like it better than some of the more upbeat ones. I always like when Billy Joel does the more softer stuff a lot of times, but it's not his strongest ballad though. I feel like amongst his good ballads, this is one of the weaker ones that he's done. It's not as memorable one for me. So I'm just like, it's okay.
This is another great song on the album. I do agree that side one has the stronger songs. Four of the five songs from side one are in my top five. But there's still some good songs on this back half, and this one is one of them. I just think this album is stacked with quality songs. This one has some really good storytelling, and it's one of the sadder songs on this album because it's about this relationship falling apart. There's not really a single finger pointed over who was at fault for the relationship falling apart. Like, yeah, the man wasn't really that loving and caring to her, and she didn't really do enough either to justify the relationship. So he kind of puts both at fault in a relationship, the seemingly average, ordinary couple where the relationship falls apart. So I think the wordplay, the way Billy Joel crafts the story, adding to the sadness of it all. It's very smart writing on his part.
Musically, I cannot tell you what the verse sounds like to this song. I always forget about it, but then when you get to the chorus is really catchy, where it's like, "Oh, when you going down to California? Oh, you had to take the stop in Nevada." I like that part, but because the chorus is super memorable, but the rest of it isn't, and the lyrics are pretty good, I'm gonna say that this is probably somewhere in the middle on this album.
So I'm kind of in more agreement with Nick. It actually is a highlight for me, but I didn't write that much about it. It's just one of those songs where you're just kind of chilled. You're just kind of chilling with it. You're just kind of liking the vibe on this one. You're kind of more laid back, just kind of enjoying the mood that Billy's going for. Um, I really like the strings on this one. Um, like that a lot. Even a bit of subtle uh, steel guitar yet again, which I do like how it sounds on this album in general. Again, the piano playing's good, and I agree. I mean, I think the best thing about the song, and that probably is why I like it, is because of that chorus. I think the chorus to the track is really good. Um, but yeah, I didn't write too much about it, but it was just a very nice song. I really like it, and it was a highlight.
Okay, now we have If I Only Had the Words to Tell You.
Yeah, I thought this was an okay song. I don't really have much more to add. It's just to me, it's just a mediocre song.
Yeah, actually really like this song. Not much to it. Just it's a solid Billy Joel song for me.
Yeah, this one and Ain't No Crime are my two least favorite songs on the album, but I still like this song for what it is. It's another good piano ballad for Billy Joel. It does feel like the weak link in the album, but yeah, I still like the sentiment that he brings with the song, and it's still a lovely melody.
Well, here's where I'm going to be different. This is actually one of my favorite songs on the album. I think this is a really underrated song. I like the piano at the beginning. The chord choices are really interesting on this song, and I love the melody. If I only had the words to tell you, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then like the chord he uses right after that. Oh man, it's just I think it's really interesting. I'm not going to say this is one of his best songs, but I think it's very underrated, and I really like it.
So for me, I'm gonna be straight up. This song and the next song is kind of for me where the album kind of plateaus, where it's not bad, but to me they didn't really speak to me. Um, but I'll get to talk about the next song in a bit. But for this one, definitely one more on the lower end. But again, the piano looks good. I like the strings, but for me, the song kind of by the numbers.
All right. Next is Somewhere Along the Line.
Uh, to me, it's just mediocre. Nothing too memorable about it. It's okay, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, it's funny. I didn't write any notes on it for some reason. Um, but I liked the song. I put down that I like the song, but yet I don't remember why I like the song. It's funny. It's one of those things where I'm like, I thought it was pretty good, but I don't remember why.
Yeah, I like the song as well. It's another one of the catchier songs on the album. Um, I don't have as much to say on this one as some of the other ones, but um, it's catchy. It's got some good piano playing on it.
This is my second to least favorite song on the album. This is the Before They Make Me Run of this album. Nick, that's going to be the standard for songs that we can't remember how they go.
That's
I remember something about, like, like he has all this, he's eating these fancy foods and he's drinking these fancy wine, but like it's going to catch up to him.
It's another one of the songs where it's like it's fine, it's okay, but again, it doesn't really stand out. Of the two songs we just talked about, I think I mean, I'm looking at my song ranking. I have this song slightly above the last one, but they're like side by side. So like I said, this is like the low, kind of the weakest points where it's just kind of flat lines. Again, not bad, but doesn't really speak at all.
This is the final song on the album, and that is Captain Jack.
all right. Captain Jack. Um, I'm gonna be straight. I think this is his most overrated song. I'm there's two songs from Billy Joel I think are incredibly overrated. This song and you're gonna tear out your pitchforks on this one. We didn't start the fire. I think those two songs are just
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
Might be like, it's just Nick hating on hit songs. You heard my praising on Piano Man. You know I love that song. And Say Goodbye to Hollywood. I mean, New York State of Mind, Uptown Girl. I mean, many of his hits. I don't have to say his hits because I'd be sitting here for hours. But this is the only and We Didn't Start the Fire, the only two hit songs from him that I can't stand. Captain Jack, look at your high tonight. I don't know, just to me, like, I don't know, I just didn't like this song. I don't know why, just never did, never will. I mean, I think You're My Home would have been a much, much better hit song on the album than this one. I don't know why this was the big hit that's not named Piano Man. But yeah, I'll let you guys disagree with me on this.
This was my favorite discovery on the album. When we talk about, like, we always lately, I kind of took this from Jacob because he started doing this thing where he's like favorite song and then favorite discovery, which I kind of like. So I'm kind of stealing from Jacob on that. But this is, if I was doing this on our messenger, I'd say, best song, Piano Man, favorite discovery, Captain Jack. I was not aware of this song at all. And when I was reading about Billy Joel a little bit, like in between the first two albums, and it said that this was like one of his big songs before the second album, I think, or this was like, I'm guessing, really popular in this live show. Like this was like a big song or something, but like I don't recall ever hearing this song on the radio or being a big hit song. So I was kind of like, whoa, Captain Jack, this is a big song for him. Like I never heard of it. And my thoughts was like, this is like, a song about a pirate, Captain Jack Sparrow. That's what I thought. That was my first thought. So I'm like, oh, we're getting a pirate song. And then you start listening to it, and I'm like, I don't think it's about a pirate. Like, I'm starting to think it's about Jack Daniels, but I don't know if that's what it's about. But,
Captain Jack was the name of his drug dealer.
Oh, okay.
Captain Jack can get you high tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought he was drinking like a Jack Daniels or something like that, because I was trying to figure out but Jack is not called Captain Jack. There's another alcoholic drink called Captain something.
Captain Morgan.
Yep.
Spice rum, yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Garth Brooks even sings about it. Sail with Captain Morgan.
Yeah. So I'm like, is this a mixture of Captain Morgan and Jack Daniels? I don't know. I didn't know.
Billy Joel made his own cocktail, Captain Jack.
Exactly.
Jack Daniels and Captain Morgan.
Okay, I didn't know it was about a drug dealer. Okay, that's interesting. Because so the song, and if you can't tell, I really like the song. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. I was really surprised, not surprised, but pleasantly like, wow, it's a great new discovery for me that I wasn't aware of. And I guess I liked it because, again, it had some storytelling aspect to it, and it was one of those songs I had to listen to the lyrics. Like most of the songs, I didn't really pay much attention to the lyrics, except for like Piano Man, like You're My Home, and like this song. Maybe the three songs that I really paid attention. I was like, oh, these lyrics are pretty good. I'm kind of enjoying these lyrics, and I like the lyrics. I was kind of enjoying like listening, telling the story about. It felt like, I mean, it's depressing lyrics, but it's like his life is not that great. Like it felt like he was just kind of the verses. But I love the contrast between the verses and into the chorus. Verses, it's got a little, softer, it's a little slower paced, and you're hearing the story, and it's telling about all these like bad things I think happened in his life, or just like his life's not that great. I remember one lyric about they found his dad in the pool, and I was like, what? Did his dad drown? Like I was like, is that what he's saying? That's bad. Like I don't know if that's what it was, but it was like all these things were like not very good. And then you get to the chorus, and all of a sudden it just crescendos up. It gets louder, it gets faster paced, and it's Captain Jack. It's like all these bad things in his life, but then he's got Captain Jack to make his life better, I guess, or something. Captain Jack making something about high, and then Captain Jack, you'd be all right. I think I can't remember, but I remember I was like, oh, this like I like these lyrics, like the rhyming of them, and I just love how you get into that chorus, and man, I really like that chorus. When you get to that chorus, I'm like, oh man, it's just really upbeat, and just I don't know, just love how it does that. And then it goes back into the verses, gets a little bit back to the slower pace stuff, And then he gets back to, and then Captain Jack is like here to save you. You know, it's kind of like that or something. And I'm like, oh, all right, Captain Jack's here, good, and all that. And then at the very end, man, he just jumps it up a notch where he gets even louder. He's really just belting it out, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is really good singing. I was like, I don't know, I really like this song. It's been one of the best songs I've heard from Billy Joel that I didn't know before anyway. So yeah, it's obviously gonna be pretty high on my list. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the highest on it, but I don't know. I liked it.
All right, so this was one I had heard before. I've even heard it on radio before.
Okay.
I used to listen to Sirius XM when we had it. They would be played on some of the classic rock stations on that. So I knew this song going in. The only two I knew were this and Piano Man. And yeah, another well-crafted song from Billy Joel. But to be honest, I didn't pay attention to the lyrics until when when I listened to the whole album. I'm like, this is a much more depressing song than I remembered it being. Because and I kind of have like the opposite effect. To me, the whole song is depressing, even with the catchy chorus, because the chorus is "Captain Jack will get you high tonight." It's given this kid the false hope that doing drugs is going to improve the situation when it's not. And so with each verse, the story gets sadder and sadder and more messed up. And he thinks, oh, Captain Jack is going to come with your drugs. Okay, he's going to save you. But no, it just gets worse and worse and worse. So I take the whole song as an anti-drug PSA. And Billy just does not hold back on the lyrics of the song. That like he goes into some uncomfortable places with the lyrics.
Yeah.
There's even a verse about
Yeah.
a certain sexual act.
Captain jacking off.
How did that get past the radio? I'll
Yeah.
never know. But okay.
Yeah, that and talking about pornographic magazines. I'm like, how were they able to play this on the radio? And they said something about smoking your pot. I'm like, that's a direct drug reference. How did that get on radio? But
yeah,
A Day in the Life gets banned because of I would love to turn you on, you know?
Yeah, turn you on.
Yeah. I love to turn you on. You could take in different directions, but this one's like to the point on what it's trying to say. But like it doesn't like glorify any of these things. It's just this loser kid's making these awful decisions and he's facing the consequences. So this is a very depressing song, but it's well written. It's well crafted. What a powerful way to wrap up this album.
Nick, when you said that you didn't like We Didn't Start the Fire, part of me died inside.
I don't feel ashamed of repeating that. I think that song sucks.
But I'll have to say I'm actually kind of with you on this one. I don't get how this was a big hit. I mean, this is the song that kind of got him noticed, got him his major record deal. But then I'm hear this song and I'm like, how did this become a huge hit? I don't really like this song, and neither does Billy Joel. Billy Joel hates playing this song live because while Piano Man was a snapshot of him being kind of sad and alone, but it's like, I'm playing at the bar and I've got all these people here with me, so it's not so bad. He doesn't like playing this song because it's a snapshot of depression in his life in a much more negative connotation. And because of that, he didn't play this song live anymore. He says, this song is someone I'm not anymore. Mm-hmm. I think Billy Joel's been clean off of drugs for a while too as well. So he doesn't like this song because it reminds him of that. And it is a very much an anti-drug song, but still, I don't know. I'm just like, the melody isn't particularly strong on this song. The chorus is it's just kind of Captain Jack can get you high tonight. That's kind of memorable. The only thing that I really say is outstanding on this song is the organ playing. Billy Joel does like this really cool organ intro, and then like the outro, some of the stuff he's doing on the keyboards on the outro is really cool. But as for the actual song itself, like it's kind of got some psychedelic elements that are cool, but I think it's kind of not a very good way to end the album.
Okay, we got a tie here. We got two people that like the song. We got two people that don't like the song.
All
So
right,
it's
Bryer.
up to me to break the tie. So where am I gonna land? And I'm gonna land with Jason and Jacob.
Ah,
Okay.
Yes. I think this is I definitely like this song a lot. And it is the lyrics, there's something about me. I respect lyricists who are not afraid to be brutally honest with real life situations. Like it can be as dark as ever.
You can
But
say dark as hell. I don't care.
yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, but regardless of that, but really appreciate singers and songwriters who are not afraid to bring these types of dark situations to light. Because somebody's gonna mention it because yeah, Captain Jack is here promise you is gonna make your life better, but really no, it's definitely gonna make your life a million times worse. And so lyrically, I respect a lot of the song. Um, and I think the message still resonates because a lot of people are still struggling with drugs, and I think it's a really nice snapshot on the issue itself, and it's kind of, and I like the attitude of it, where it's like, hey, if you want to be like us losers, do drugs. Um, and so it's kind of a little in your face thing there. But musically, great. I like the piano playing on this one a lot, and I like the organ as well. It's just a song that gets bigger. Like as the song continues, it gets bigger and bigger, and it definitely has this nice crescendo, I guess, if you want to call it. There's some really good guitar playing. Guitar playing is really top notch on the song. Um, and just overall, it's just a very big song, and I really like it a lot. Um, did it need to be 7 minutes? Maybe not. Maybe you could trim a little bit off, but I think the messaging and the music kind of make up for it. And yeah, I can definitely see why it definitely got noticed. I mean, yeah, overall, I think it's a really great song. Definitely a highlight.
Okay, well, that is the end of the album. I think I should probably note now, though, I forgot to mention it earlier. The sides are not called side one and side two. They're called one side and another side. So we just finished another side. Not of Bob Dylan, but another side of Billy Joel. So, what's our top five songs on Piano Man?
All right. So my number 5 is gonna be "Stop in Nevada." Number 4 is gonna be "Traveling Prayer." Number 3, "Ballad of Billy the Kid." Number 2, gonna have to go "Piano Man," and number 1, "You're My Home."
all right. Top five for me. I'm going with number five, "Somewhere Along the Line." Number four, "If I Only Had the Words to Tell You." Number three, "You're My Home." Number two, "Captain Jack." And number one, "Piano Man."
All right. I actually have three honorable mentions. Somewhere along the line, "Stop in Nevada," and "Worst Comes to Worst" would have been my number six. I'm probably gonna be the only one that has it that high. But my top five: number five, "The Ballad of Billy the Kid." Number four, "Captain Jack." Number three, "You're My Home." Nick, I'm glad I'm not the only one this song made my top five. My number two is "Traveling Prayer," and number one, "Piano Man." It's
Yeah,
too
"Traveling
obvious.
Prayer" is underrated. I'm glad you liked it.
It is. It's also my number five, Traveling Prayer.
Ah, three for
Number
three.
number four, I'm gonna go with "If I Only Had the Words to Tell You." I'm probably the only one who has that in my top five. Number three, "Ballad of Billy the Kid." Who doesn't love a good Western-inspired ballad with some great piano playing from Billy Joel? Number two, "You're My Home." Love that song. And number one, "Piano Man."
All right, number five, I'm gonna put "Stop in Nevada." Number four, "Captain Jack." Number three, "The Ballad of Billy the Kid." Number two, "You're My Home." And number one is "Piano Man."
Well, what do we think of Piano Man? What score are we going to give it out of 10? And do we like it better or worse than Cold Spring Harbor?
The last album I gave a 10 out of 10. This album I'm gonna be giving it a 7 out of 10. I think it is a big step down from the last album. There are 5 songs I think are really, really good, especially my top 3. I think actually my top 4 are like Traveling Prayer, Ballad Billy Kid, Piano Man, and You're My Home. Those 4 songs are great and shows growth, production wise. Shows that he could actually, not sing like a chipmunk. So on that aspect, I think it's better. But in terms of the quality of the songs, I think this is I think this is a worse album. And I'm gonna be honest, I think the same way for the next album. Street Life Serenade.
Oh, that album is worse than this one.
I think the first album is really good, and then like 2 albums I think are like,
Yeah.
progressively worse, and then like
Then everything after that is just amazing
pretty much
for the most part.
Scott pretty much hit
Maybe
the
not
nail.
that confounded bridge, but
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
I agree with Nick 100%. This is a 7 out of 10 for me as well. This is a big step down from that first album, which I gave it 10 out of 10 too. I really liked that first album. I thought that was really good piano ballad type songs or whatever. From this had a little more of this country stuff in there I didn't care for as much. And then I don't know, it was just outside like the top 3. It was just a very weak album. Obviously, you got Piano Man. It's crazy because you would think an album called Piano Man, I would think would be, oh, this got to be one of his best albums. It has Piano Man on it. And man, what a disappointment this is, that outside of Piano Man and then Captain Jack and You're My Home, I mean, especially, it's just a weak album for me.
All right. Well, I'm the complete opposite. I wasn't that big a fan of Cold Spring Harbor. I gave it a 5 out of 10 if you watched that video. This album I thought was the true breakout album of Billy Joel, even though it only has like 2 big songs on it, Piano Man and Captain Jack. But I love like pretty much every single deep cut on this album. Traveling Prayer, You're My Home, Billy the Kid, Worst Comes to Worst, Stop in Nevada, all great songs on this album. I was just like blown away by the fact that one, he was able to do different genres on here, like the country, the funk, piano rock songs, pop ballads. But like his craft grew just from getting out of a bad record deal and getting to do the music he wanted to make. And this, to me, this is the equivalent of Elton John's self-titled album. It's that great of an album with great songwriting. I might be the only one that gives it this good of a score, but I'm gonna go 10 out of 10. I thought this was an
Wow.
outstanding
wow.
album.
Wow.
It's awesome. This is my favorite Billy Joel album so far.
And you've heard
Oh,
The Stranger?
Oh yeah, I gave this a higher score with The Stranger.
Wow.
My
I-
gosh.
That's gonna be a hard disagree on me.
Hey, I'm going to say this. Wait till you hear Glass Houses. I think that's going to be your favorite one. It's like
Yeah.
almost like
Oh,
hard
Glass
rock, new wave
Houses.
Billy Joel.
Yes.
Glass Houses is it's something else because it's just
Oh yeah.
It's the album that introduced me to Billy Joel. My dad has the record and he introduced me to him that way, and I saw the album cover like Glass Houses. Great album.
Well, I think this is kind of a disappointing album by Billy Joel standards. If we're talking about anybody else, this might be one of their best albums. But for Billy Joel, there's definitely some great songs on here. Of course, the title track, Billy the Kid, You're My Home. Those 3 songs are fantastic, but when you look at the rest of the album, not quite up to the level of those 3 songs. I'm gonna have to go with an 8 out of 10. I want to do 7.5, but because the title track is on this thing, I can't give it anything less than an 8. And especially being the home of Billy Joel's signature song. When I was listening to this for the first time, I was like, that's it? And for the longest time, I just would not listen to this album because I thought the whole thing was bad other than the title track. But repeated listens have had me become more. The rest of the album has definitely grown on me with repeated listens. But still, it's not one of my favorite Billy Joel albums. Not one I go back to often. But because it has 3 solid classics, I'm gonna give it an 8.
All right, my turn. Did we mention I'm not on the first episode? But any case,
Maybe we can add you in. We can just have you sit in front of a camera and then talk in between, and we can like shoehorn you into the video.
well, it's a bit too late now. But anyway, so if I were, I'll give what I would have rated the Cold Spring Harbor real quick. I would have given it an 8. Just a solid 8. Kind of not amazing, but pretty solid. Um, like I said, I like this album slightly more than the debut, mainly because of my top 4, really. Even though I had Stop in Nevada in my top 5, it's really the top 4 are really, really carrying the album. Um, so in that regard, I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10 as well. So they're both 8s, but like I said, it's maybe slightly above it. Again, very slight, um, for all the reasons I've said. But again, it's a solid album. I don't hate it, but I will say it is also not going to be one of my top 5 Billy Joel albums. It's solid, good stuff, but definitely not quite in the classic era quite yet, aside from those top 4. But there you go.
Well, I have a feeling that we're going to have very differing opinions on a lot of Billy Joel's albums, but you know what? I think that's what's going to make this series really interesting, is getting to hear what everybody thinks about different sides of Billy Joel, one side and another side, side one and side two. But thank you guys for watching this Billy Joel review of the Piano Man album. The next album, Street Life Serenade, I can't really say I'm looking forward to reviewing. There's definitely some good stuff on there, but I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. When your favorite track is an instrumental and it's not up to the quality of YYZ, then we got a problem. But everything after that, I'm really looking forward to reviewing, because Billy Joel has some really great albums in his discography. Thank you for watching. Remember that music is art and art is expression. We will see you next time for Street Life Serenade. Be sure to subscribe to each of our guests here, to Townsend 505 with Nick, Jason the Old Millennial for Jason there, Jacob Martin channel of the same name, Bryer's Music Showcase for Bryer, and to him who's not here, Brian Cam. Thank you very much. We will see you later.